What's up, Bulls Nation? It's the Bloody Horns podcast. I'm your host, Justin, here to give you the daily content. So let's talk about the mid-3. There's a big problem with the mid-3, man. It's been a rough go all year for those three together, and I don't know what the answer is. I don't know exactly who to blame, because it's very obvious when they're all on the court together. And obviously I'm talking about DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Nikola Vucevic. When those three are on the court together, it ain't working. The offense isn't working. The defense takes a hit. Just team chemistry wise, the body language, like every metric you want to throw out and every eye test you want to throw out, when the mid-3 are playing together, it just ain't working. And I don't know who to blame, because the thing is, when you take one of them out of the lineup, the other two get way more effective. We've seen very effective lineups with Vooch, DeRozan, and Kobe. Seen effective lineups with Vooch, LaVine, and Pat. We've seen effective lineups with LaVine, DeMar, and Drummond. So the answer, I don't really know who you can put the blame on. You know, I want to put the blame on Nikola Vucevic. I'm a notorious Nikola Vucevic hater, but if I'm being unbiased about it, you know, anytime you take one of the three out of the equation, the offense, the body language, everything just runs a lot smoother. So the Bulls got to do something. They got to deal one of those three. We can't have all three of them on the team anymore. January 15th was yesterday, so almost every contract in the NBA is now tradable. You know, there's random contracts like the Lakers, Jordan, Vanderbilt contract can't be traded this year. There's other ones like that in the league, but for the most part, everybody's on the table at this point. So I did a little digging and I came up with three trades for each, not for each of them, but three trades, one for each of the mid-3, because we got to move on from this era. We got to get one of them off the team. We got to give Kobe more of the keys to the car. We got to get Pat a little bit more involved. You know, the mid-3, it's got to go. We need to ship out one of them. So here's three trades. Now this first one I stole off Twitter. I saw it last night. I was cracking up. I was like, there's no way that could happen. But then I kind of thought about it. I'm like, it's not crazy out of the realm of possibility to happen. So the first one here, it's a 3-team trade between the Warriors, the Lakers, and the Bulls. So the Lakers, they get Draymond Green. The Warriors, they get Nikola Vucevic. The Chicago Bulls, we get Rui Hachimura, and the Lakers 2029 first. Now, at first, this kind of sounds crazy. It sounds like, why would any of these teams involved do this? Well, from the Lakers' point of view, they need a shakeup. I believe they're out of the play-in tournament right now. They've been free-falling since the mid-season tournament, so they need a shakeup. Draymond Green, he's lost his goddamn mind. He's out of control this year. He's been slipping really since that championship run. You know, he was always very eccentric, always kind of a hard guy to rely on due to his on-the-court antics, but this year it's gotten even worse, and he's borderline unplayable to a certain extent. He needs a change of scenery. He loves LeBron James. Remember that weird Instagram post he had where he called LeBron James his king? It was like, happy birthday, my king, or some weird shit. So if anybody in the NBA is going to be able to get Draymond Green under control, it's going to be LeBron James. I'm not going to call it a Dennis Rodman and Michael Jordan situation, because both LeBron and Draymond are further in their careers than Mike and Rodman were at the time when they came together. Mike and Rod, they were pretty much still at their physical peak when they came together. Draymond and LeBron, they're not at their physical peaks anymore, but could be kind of similar, where you're going to squeeze 1, 2, 3 good years out of Draymond if you're lucky. And for the Lakers, it would give them a formidable defensive front with Anthony Davis, Draymond Green. Draymond can handle the ball a little bit. He's a good passer. He's not a knockdown shooter by any means, but he's a better shooter than Jordan Vanderbilt. So he's a little bit more of a scoring threat than that. And it could be a good shakeup that the Lakers need. For the Warriors, you know, they need a shakeup in the worst way too. The Draymond thing, it seems like he's playing himself out of town. It seems like, you know, the whole organization is kind of sick of him. I was surprised the suspension was only 12 games. I thought it'd be a little bit longer than that. But either way, it seems like it's time for a new start for both sides. And you heard on I think last week on Twitter, the rumor was floating around that the Warriors are looking for some size. They're looking for a 7-footer. Hello, Nikola Vucevic. He's 7 feet tall, well, 6'11 technically, but we'll just round that up to 7 feet, 260 pounds, a theoretical stretch five. If you guys listen to my podcast Sunday, I broke down why he shouldn't be considered a stretch five, why he should be trying to get his offense in other spots, because league-wide, he's the least efficient player from the three-point line at his position relative to other guys who have the same amount of volume in those positions. But for the Warriors, Vooch could fit in a little more seamless. He's going to give them a little bit more rebounding, a little bit more scoring, a little bit more pick and pop threat than they got right now. So it's not out of the realm of possibilities. And for the Bulls, we're getting off the Nikola Vucevic deal, which that's nice. Rui, he's under contract for the same length of time as Nikola Vucevic, but he's a little younger. Rui's 24, 25 years old. Had a nice stretch in the playoffs last year. He's a true power forward. I think he's listed at like 6'7" or 6'8", but when you look at him out on the court, he's grown since he got in the NBA. That dude's got to be 6'9", 6'10". He's a big dude. He's a strong dude. He can play the four. Billy will probably use him in some small ball five lineups. So it's not a bad trade for the Bulls. And then you get that 2029 Laker pick. And the Lakers, throughout their team history, they've shown a propensity to make big moves when needed. So I don't know if that 2029 pick is going to be any good. Obviously, AD, LeBron, Draymond, if this trade went down, all three of them would be long gone by that point. But I don't doubt that the Lakers would have some new guy in there, whether that's Donovan Mitchell or whatever trade or whatever star is going to demand a trade very soon here. So it's not a great pick, but at the same time, it gives the Bulls an asset. It gives them something to put in that asset tank to make a trade down the road. Gives them a little bit more juice in trades going forward. So that's my trade number one. Lakers get Draymond. Warriors, they get Vooch. We get Rui Hachimura, and the Lakers 2029 first. So not a bad trade in my estimation. Don't know how realistic it is. Just saw it on Twitter. Laughed at it at first and thought, it's actually not that crazy of a trade. Trade number two, DeMar DeRozan. It's getting about that time, man. It's getting about that time. When I look around the league at teams that could use DeMar DeRozan, the Sacramento Kings, they're not really talked about, but they scream DeMar DeRozan to me. When you watch them, when they struggle late in games, you saw it when Dame hit that game winner the other day against them. It's because their offense gets bogged down in the fourth. They don't really have a closer. De'Aaron Fox is a great player. When the offense gets bogged down, not really his strong suit. He's much more of a fast-paced, open-court player. Domantas Sabonis, in the fourth quarter, teams are just sagging off him, daring him to make that jump shot. Not great offense. So they need a closer like DeMar DeRozan, and they have the contracts to try to make it work. The trade I came up for that would be DeMar DeRozan. This is the framework, too. The Bulls would obviously need to add something in it. This is just the framework. This isn't the technical trade that would go down. The Bulls would probably need to match salaries a little bit. Some things that have to be adjusted. But the framework of it would be DeMar DeRozan going to the Kings. Kings sending back Kevin Huerter, Trey Lyles, Davion Mitchell. We don't get a first-round pick in this trade. DeMar DeRozan, he's in year 15. He's on an expiring deal. He expects a raise in the offseason. I don't know what the trade value is for DeMar DeRozan, but getting three guys we can plug in right away to this team, not a bad return. And Davion Mitchell, former lottery pick, it's not a bad return in my estimation. Kevin Huerter, he's having a down year this year. I could very well see him coming to the Bulls and bouncing back. He's a classic 3-and-D guy. He had some good years with the Hawks. He was good last year on the Kings. He's a guy the Bulls kind of need. He knows how to play, got a high basketball IQ. He'd fit in pretty seamlessly. Trey Lyles gives them a little bit of size, gives them a true backup power forward. Terry Taylor, he's a hustler, but he's 6'4" at the end of the day. We saw Billy try to throw him in last night. Didn't really work. He lasted, a minute and a half, 2 minutes. So Trey Lyles gives them some size. Once again, Billy could use him as a backup five in certain lineups. And then Davion Mitchell, young, former lottery pick. I was a big believer in his coming out of Baylor. His offensive game hasn't translated in the NBA, but he is a great defender on the perimeter. He's a scrappy dude. He defensively, to me, is what we were sold on Javon Carter being, where he's a little smaller, but he's scrappy. He harasses the ball handler. He makes the other team work. I haven't seen that from Javon Carter this year. I think we could see that from Davion Mitchell. And like I said, he's young, so maybe he comes to the Bulls where he's not playing with a De'Aaron Fox. He gets a little bit more opportunity. Kobe White, obviously we want him having all the opportunities in the backcourt. But Davion Mitchell, he's a guy with room to improve, room to grow, and he already brings a tangible skill set with his defense. So that's my trade for DeMar DeRozan. Send him to the Kings, get back Kevin Huerter, Trey Lyles, Davion Mitchell. Trade number three. This is the one that everybody wants to see happen, and I've been arguing for the last week that I don't want to see a Zach LaVine trade. But we need to get rid of the mid-3. We need to send at least one of them away. So if Zach LaVine ends up being that guy, then so be it. Trade number 3 to me is Zach LaVine and Javon Carter heading over to the Golden State Warriors for Klay Thompson and Jonathan Kuminga. Now, there's no pick in this trade either. There's going to be a lot of people who want to pick. I'm saying, the Bulls are getting more than their fair share in a return here because, one, we're getting off the Zach LaVine contract. And I've been arguing that Zach LaVine's contract, the more time goes on, the better it's going to look. Because we saw Jaylen Brown sign for more money than him last year. This offseason, we'll probably see OG Anunoby sign for more money than Zach LaVine. As time goes on, as that cap spikes, as these contracts go up, Zach LaVine's contract's going to look pretty favorable. But Klay Thompson, he's on an expiring. We can let him walk at the end of the year if we want to, or try to negotiate a team-friendly deal in the offseason. But either way, you're getting off that Zach LaVine contract. And if you guys have been listening, I'm a huge Jonathan Kuminga fan. I broke it down on that podcast 2 weeks ago. There is a successful history league-wide of trading for these former lottery picks that have been on playoff teams that have shown they at least have a role in the NBA. Tyrese Halliburton, when the Pacers traded for him, he was a nice player. Nobody saw what he was going to become. Nobody watched him as a rookie in Sacramento and saw this coming. SGA, same thing. Nobody watched him as a rookie and thought, oh, he's going to be the best guard in the NBA. But look, he got to OKC. He got to have his team. He got to have more opportunity. Now he's the best guard in the NBA. And those guys, their rookie seasons weren't bad rookie seasons with those teams. They proved that at the very least they are rotation players on playoff teams in those rookie seasons. So Jonathan Kuminga, he hasn't blown anybody away yet, right? I mean, that game against the Bulls last week, he was insane. He was off the chart, and that was a little preview of what he could be with the Chicago Bulls. But he has proven he can be a rotation player on a contending team. So trading for a guy like that, getting off Zach LaVine's contract, that makes it more than a fair return in my estimation. So we got about a month left till the trade deadline. The Bulls need to do something, and I'm not talking about sending Andre Drummond away for a protected pick to the Thunder or whatever team needs a backup big. I'm talking about a big shakeup. The mid-3, it's not working. If you guys are watching these games, you can't tell me it's working out there. There's just no way you can argue that it's working. So we need to get rid of one of them. Either one of these trades, any 3 of these trades are going to make me a happy Bulls fan. So sound off in the comments. Let me know what you think. If you got any trades you want to throw out, let me know in the comments or on Twitter too. If you're not hitting subscribe on this video, please hit subscribe. If you're not listening to the podcast, it's on Spotify and Apple. Sunday was the last drop, and it was Nikola Vucevic is a giant problem for the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls have a giant Nikola Vucevic problem. Last night's game proved everything that I said in that podcast right. If you're telling me I'm being too hard on Vooch, please tell me why you think I'm being too hard on Vooch. Because I'm seeing people on Twitter that are like, you're just a Vooch hater, and I'm like, but what am I saying that's wrong? There's nothing I've said that's wrong in my opinion. So if you think I'm wrong on it, let me know why. Once again, that's on Spotify and Apple, the Bloody Horns podcast. If you're not following on social media, the handle's the same on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Horns Bloody. Throw me a follow on any of those. Let's talk some hoops. Take it easy, Bulls Nation. We got another day off tomorrow. I'm going to be doing a Twitter Spaces with a local Bulls fan and Mo Banks. So make sure you guys are tapped into that. We are going live at, I believe, 7 o'clock tomorrow. So that's going to be a fun discussion. We're going to talk about what the Bulls can do, what AKME can do for this team. Take it easy. Let's go, Bulls.